You think you know what winning looks like. You have seen the numbers, the seven-figure income, the house, the car, the title, the respect, and you are chasing it right now. Every decision you make is aimed at getting there, at achieving success, at finally making it. But what if I told you that success is a trap? What if everything you are working toward is actually moving you further away from what you really want? What if the people who look the most successful are actually the most trapped? And here is the part that should terrify you. You will not realize it until it is too late to escape. Let me show you what I mean. Think about someone you know who makes $300,000 a year, maybe more. They have the career, the reputation, the lifestyle. They look successful. They are successful by every measure society gave you, and they cannot take a Tuesday off without permission. They cannot move to a different city without losing everything. They cannot say no to their boss. They cannot walk away. They have success. They do not have freedom. And there is a difference so fundamental that missing it costs people their entire lives. But nobody explains this difference. Nobody tells you that these are two completely separate games with completely different rules and completely different outcomes. They let you play the wrong game for decades. They let you win at something that does not matter. And by the time you figure it out, you have built a prison so expensive and so impressive that everyone congratulates you for living in it. And you smile and you say thank you and you go back inside. Because that is what success without freedom looks like. It looks like winning, right up until you realize you cannot leave. Now, before you dismiss this, before you tell yourself this does not apply to you, let me ask you something. How many hours do you have to work next week? Not want to work, have to work. How many of those hours are actually optional? How many decisions in your life right now are truly yours to make? Be honest, because the answer to that question tells you everything about whether you are building success or freedom. And most people do not want to answer it because the answer reveals something they are not ready to face. They are not free, they are just successful, and successful is another word for expensive to maintain. Let me explain what that means. Success is about accumulation. It is about getting more income, more status, more recognition, more responsibility, more everything. And every single thing you add makes you more successful and less free, because everything you add has a cost, not the price you paid to get it, the price you pay to keep it. That career you built, it requires you to show up, it requires you to perform, it requires you to maintain relationships and reputations and standards. It owns your time, it owns your attention, it owns your decisions. You did not buy freedom, you bought obligations that look impressive. That house you upgraded to, it requires a mortgage payment, it requires maintenance. It requires you to stay employed, it requires you to stay in that city, it requires you to keep earning enough to justify it. You did not buy a home, you bought an anchor that keeps you exactly where you are. That lifestyle you earned, it requires income, consistent income, growing income. It requires you to say yes to things you do not want to do because saying no means going backward. And you cannot go backward now, not after everyone has seen how far you have come, so you keep climbing, and the higher you climb, the harder it is to stop. The more successful you become, the more trapped you are. And this is the part nobody tells you. This is the part you have to figure out yourself, usually too late. Success and freedom move in opposite directions. The more successful you become using traditional metrics, the less free you are, because traditional success is measured by things that require maintenance, by things that create dependency, by things that lock you in. Freedom is measured by the opposite, by what you can walk away from, by what you do not need, by what does not need you, by time you control, by choices you actually have. Let me give you an example that makes this clear. Take two people. Person A makes $500,000 a year as a senior executive. Person B makes $80,000 a year from investments and owns their time completely. Who is more successful? Person A, obviously, by every standard measure. The income, the title, the respect. Person A wins. Now let me ask you a different question. Who is more free? Person B, and it is not even close. Person A cannot quit, cannot move, cannot take 6 months off, cannot say no to the board, cannot risk anything that threatens the income. Person B can do whatever they want, can live wherever they want, can work on whatever interests them, can say no to everything, can disappear for a year and come back to the same income. Person A has success, person B has freedom, and in 50 years when they are both looking back, one of them will wish they had lived the other's life, and it will not be the person you think. Because here is what happens. Success feels good while you are achieving it. Every promotion, every raise, every new milestone, it feels like progress. It feels like winning, and it is. You are winning the game. You are just playing the wrong game. You are optimizing for a scoreboard that does not measure what actually matters. What actually matters is not how much you make. It is how much you need. It is not how important your job is. It is how optional your job is. It is not how impressive your life looks. It is how much of your life is actually yours. And this is where most people get it completely wrong. They think freedom comes after success. They think you build the career, you make the money, you get the things, and then eventually you retire and you are free. They think freedom is the reward for decades of success. They think you have to earn it by giving up your time first. But that is not how it works. That is the trap. Because the more successful you become, the more expensive your life becomes. The more expensive your life becomes, the more income you need. The more income you need, the less free you are. You are not moving toward freedom. You are moving away from it every single day and calling it progress. Let me show you what actually happens. You start your career. You are making $40,000 a year. You live simply. You have roommates. You do not need much. You could quit tomorrow and figure something else out. You have options. You have flexibility. You are broke, but you are free. You just do not realize it because you think freedom comes later. So you work hard, you get promoted. You are making $70,000 now. You move out. You get your own place. You upgrade your car. You start spending more because you are earning more and you deserve it. You are being successful and your freedom just decreased because now you need $70,000 to maintain your life. You cannot go back to 40. You cannot take a pay cut. You cannot take a risk. Your options narrowed. Your flexibility disappeared, but you call it progress because the number went up. You keep going. You are making $120,000 now. You buy a house. You finance a nicer car. You are going on better vacations. You are living the life everyone is impressed. You are successful and you are completely trapped because now you need $120,000 to survive. You need the job. You need the income. You need everything to keep working exactly as it is. One disruption and everything falls apart. You are more successful than you have ever been and you have less freedom than when you started. And you do not even see it because you are measuring the wrong thing. You are counting income instead of options. You are counting achievements instead of autonomy. You are counting respect instead of time. And all of those things feel like winning right up until you realize you cannot stop playing. Now here is what makes this dangerous. Most people do not figure this out until they are 40, maybe 50, maybe never. They spend decades building success and wondering why it does not feel like they thought it would. They hit the milestones, they achieved the goals, they did everything right, and they still feel trapped, still feel like they do not own their time, still feel like they cannot make the choices they want to make. And they think something is wrong with them. They think they are ungrateful. They think they should be happier. They think maybe the next level will do it. Maybe the next promotion. Maybe when they make partner. Maybe when they make 7 figures. Maybe then they will feel free. They will not because they are optimizing for the wrong outcome. They are climbing a ladder that does not go where they think it goes. And every step up makes it harder to climb back down. Let me tell you what freedom actually looks like. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you understand it, everything changes. Freedom is not about how much money you have. It is about how much money you need. It is the gap between what you earn and what you require. And the bigger that gap, the more free you are, not the bigger your income, the bigger the gap. Someone making $50,000 a year who only needs $30,000 is more free than someone making $300,000 who needs $280,000. Because the first person has options, has flexibility, has time, has the ability to say no. The second person has a lifestyle that requires constant feeding, has obligations that demand constant attention, has a life that owns them instead of a life they own. Freedom is measured in time, specifically how much time you control versus how much time controls you. If you have to work 40 hours next week, you control 0 of those hours. If you choose to work 40 hours next week, you control all of them. Same hours, completely different reality. One is obligation, one is choice, one is employment, one is freedom. Freedom is measured in optionality. How many things can you walk away from without your life collapsing? Your job, your city, your routine, your commitments. The more you can walk away from, the more free you are. The more you have to protect and maintain, the more trapped you are. Success adds things you cannot walk away from. Freedom removes them. Freedom is psychological before it is financial. It is the feeling of knowing you do not need this, any of this, that you are here because you choose to be, not because you have to be, that everything in your life is optional, that you could stop and be fine, that you could change everything and survive, that you answer to yourself and only yourself. Most successful people never feel that, ever, because their success is built on dependency, on needing the income, on needing the validation, on needing the structure, on needing external things to maintain internal stability. And that is the opposite of freedom. That is sophisticated captivity. Now here is what this means for you right now. Today you have to decide which game you're playing. Are you building success or freedom? Because the strategies are completely different. The decisions are completely different. The sacrifices are completely different. And if you do not choose, you will default to success. Because that is what society rewards. That is what people see. That is what gets celebrated. And you will wake up at 50 with an impressive career and no time, with a big house and no flexibility, with a great income and no options. And you will wonder what happened. You will wonder why winning feels like losing. And the answer is simple. You played the wrong game. So what does building freedom actually look like? Let me be clear about this, because it is not what you think. It is not about making less money. It is not about living in poverty. It is not about rejecting ambition. It is about inverting the priorities. It is about optimizing for the right metrics. Building freedom means keeping your costs low even when your income goes up, especially when your income goes up, because the gap is what matters. Every dollar of income that does not turn into a dollar of expense is a dollar of freedom. Every lifestyle upgrade you skip is flexibility you keep. Every status symbol you ignore is optionality you preserve. Building freedom means investing in things that do not require you. Assets that generate income whether you work or not. Systems that run without your constant attention. Streams that flow without your constant effort. You are not trading time for money. You are building machines that make money without your time. And every dollar those machines make is a dollar of freedom. Building freedom means saying no to opportunities that increase your income but decrease your autonomy. The promotion that doubles your salary but triples your hours, that is not progress, that is a trade. You are selling freedom to buy success. And it might be worth it, but you need to know what you're trading. Most people do not. They think they're getting both. They are not. Building freedom means measuring progress differently, not by how much you make, by how long you could survive without making anything, not by your title, by how replaceable you are, not by your network, by how much you need your network, not by what you have, by what you do not need. And here is the hard part, here is the part that stops most people. Building freedom is invisible, nobody sees it, nobody celebrates it, nobody congratulates you for keeping your expenses low, nobody respects you for turning down the promotion, nobody understands why you are not upgrading when you can afford to. You look less successful even as you become more free. And that takes strength because we are social creatures. We want the respect, we want the recognition, we want people to see that we made it, and freedom does not look like making it. Freedom looks like staying small when you could be big, like staying simple when you could be impressive, like staying flexible when you could be established. It looks like losing to people who do not understand the game you are actually playing. But here is what they do not see, here is what they will never see until it is too late. While they are climbing, you are already there. While they are building success that requires more and more maintenance, you are building freedom that requires less and less. While they are adding dependencies, you are removing them. While they are getting more trapped, you are getting more free. And in 20 years, when they are still grinding, still performing, still maintaining, still trapped in the impressive life they built, you will be doing whatever you want, living wherever you want, working on whatever interests you, saying no to everything that does not serve you, and they will look at you and wonder how you did it, how you escaped, how you are free. And you will not be able to explain it to them because they spent 20 years optimizing for the wrong thing. They spent 20 years building a prison they call success, and you cannot explain freedom to someone who thinks their cage is an achievement. Let me tell you what happens when you choose freedom over success. What actually happens, not the fantasy, the reality. You make less money than your peers, at least at first, maybe forever. You watch people pass you, you watch them get promoted while you stay flat. You watch them buy bigger houses and nicer cars and take better vacations. You watch them win at the game everyone is playing, and you have to be okay with that because you are playing a different game, a game they cannot see, a game they do not understand. You get questions, people ask why you are not more ambitious, why you are not taking the opportunities, why you are not climbing, why you are staying small, and you cannot explain it in a way that makes sense to them, because they think success and freedom are the same thing. They think more money equals more freedom. They think the ladder goes up, and trying to explain that you are getting off the ladder just sounds like giving up. You feel doubt constantly, especially at the beginning. You see your peers succeeding, you see them winning, you see external validation pouring in for them, and you wonder if you made the right choice. You wonder if you are just rationalizing, if you are just afraid of competing, if freedom is just a story you tell yourself to feel better about not keeping up. But then something happens, something they do not tell you about, something you have to experience to believe. You wake up one day and you realize you do not need your job. You could quit right now today and you would be fine, not comfortable, not rich, but fine. You have options, you have flexibility, you have time. And that feeling, that realization, it changes everything. Because now every decision you make is different. You are not asking, can I afford to do this? You are asking, do I want to do this? You are not thinking about consequences. You are thinking about preferences. You are not managing risks. You are making choices, real choices, not forced choices, not constrained choices, actual freedom. And you start to notice something about your successful peers. They do not have that. They cannot quit. They cannot take risks. They cannot say no. They cannot change course. They are stuck. Not because they are not smart, not because they are not capable, but because their success requires too much maintenance. They built something impressive that owns them, and they call it winning. You built something small that you own, and you call it freedom. Now here is the question you have to answer, and you have to answer it honestly, because everything depends on this. What do you actually want? Do you want people to think you're successful, or do you want to actually be free? Do you want the appearance of winning, or do you want the reality of choice? Do you want the respect that comes from achievement, or do you want the peace that comes from autonomy? You cannot have both, not really, not fully, because they require opposite strategies. Success requires you to add, freedom requires you to subtract. Success requires you to need more, freedom requires you to need less. Success requires you to climb, freedom requires you to stop climbing. And most people never make this choice consciously. They drift into success because that is the default path, that is what everyone else is doing, that is what gets rewarded, and they spend their entire lives being successful without ever being free, and they die wondering what they missed, what they gave up, what they could have had if they had just understood the difference. Do not be those people. Do not spend decades climbing a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong building. Do not optimize for metrics that do not measure what matters. Do not win at a game that does not give you what you actually want. Choose right now today. Are you building success or freedom? Are you adding or subtracting? Are you climbing or escaping? Are you impressing people or liberating yourself? Because the path you choose today determines the life you live in 20 years. And the difference between success without freedom and freedom without traditional success is the difference between looking like you won and actually winning. One is performance, one is reality, one is for them, one is for you, one is a cage made of achievements, one is life on your terms. And you only get one life, one chance, one decision about what you are actually optimizing for. So what is it going to be?